uncut gameplay, raw uncut gameplay. I already gave my opinion on this one, but I want to see if anything changed.
They drugged him and tased me. They've taken him in a sky car. I'm in pursuit. Can you be more
Sky
precise?
car.
Not exactly helpful.
Okay.
I see a gas station.
Stop asking me that, okay? I'm trying to save you.
If he's gonna ask him again, I'm gonna lose it. This UI, bro, like what? Okay. Nice. Show me more explosions. I haven't seen enough. There's no resistance whatsoever. The guy's getting shot, goes over the fire. Maybe it's like the easiest difficulty in this game. And why he has like a wall hack? He always sees the enemies. Get it in the sky car.
Do you have any idea how much danger I've been in? They have guns.
I want to just talk about what we've been watching here. You start off by driving, you get to this location, you're pushing through the gas station, now you're pushing through
Apartments, motels.
landmark area where there's some people and enemies everywhere. And one thing I love is the cover system. This is going to be a cover-based shooter for the most part. You can run and gun a little bit. We see that a bunch, but they have the ability for you to take cover, which is always a good feature.
What? Like, this is like a paid review.
In most shooters, very important. So top tier stuff.
Very
A lot of different weapons, variety there as well. And I want to kind of touch on some other positives from the preview. They said that the cinematics and music and overall presentation make it feel like it's going to be an amazing story experience. Of course, they didn't play the whole story, but what they mean is the presentation of it is top tier. So when you watch some cutscenes and you go into battle and the music kicks in and all of that stuff cinematically.
That's the only thing I like from this gameplay. You cannot tell, but this is the only thing I cannot disregard and say that's not true, because they might actually show like very nice cutscenes and the story might be still amazing. You can never tell what is like from the demos because you don't know the whole story. It might be actually very interesting.
Looks and plays well.
There are like so many examples of games that don't have interesting gameplay but have an amazing story.
As you can see here, there's a lot of explosions, kind of giving you that hype train, keeping things exciting in that regard. And I think that could be also a very cool feature that they do bring to
Everything just
players.
explodes. Just
Then the other
explosion
thing
after
is
explosion
vote. I
after
was complaining
explosion.
about this, and we got confirmation you can vote. I know it's a silly thing, but when I didn't see it in the previous gameplay clips, I said, hey man, come on. There's no way this game doesn't let you vote. And someone confirmed you can. So good on them for adding it for me.
Vote?
And then I
What
wanted to talk about some of the things that I've noticed in these clips and in the footage that was kind of crazy to me. When I seen it, I said, oh wow, they're really going hard. And some of the footage, that we've already seen before, this beautiful city that you're going to be able to traverse. And people might think, oh, this is an open world game, when it's not really. They have the open areas and places you can travel through between missions, and they filled it up so that it can feel full. It can be like an open.
So basically it's going to be just like a background environment that it's not necessarily open world, but it's more of like a Mafia 2 kind of thing, I guess, where you can do maybe some stuff there and there, but don't expect too much. Don't expect like AI for the NPCs, for the pedestrians, do something crazy. Don't expect like random encounters. Don't expect I don't know, some kind of like a small details in the open world there and there. It's just gonna exist for you to traverse to get from point A to point B, basically.
world,
That's what I
but
understand.
your focus is to go from mission to mission.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you have
Okay.
these abilities, which you're seeing a lot of in this clip, where you're capable of scanning enemies. This is very important because your mind's eye looks like it gets reactivated and you're able to use it to control drones. There's a drone that floats over you, not that one that you're shooting in this video, but
Control
there's a
drones.
drone that floats.
Seeing people through the walls is not necessarily like a cool feature. Like, it makes everything so much easier and makes the gameplay more mindless. Because like you don't really need to think where the enemies are, you don't really need to pay attention. All you have to aim for is those red dots that you see on the screen, right? You could just like, oh, enemies right there. I'm just gonna aim. As soon as they pop their head out of the cover, shoot them. It's mindless gameplay basically.
Around you at all.
They have the same system sort of in Assassin's Creed games, where you can just kind of scan the area. I don't remember what games exactly, but they definitely had this. Where you can scan the area, you can see where the enemies are. You will kind of, and the game will tell you like you can just see them all the time. Takes away from stealthy aspect of remembering where the enemies are and being constantly on the edge, because it takes the challenge itself because you already know where the enemies are basically.
That you can call in to scan enemies, and this is a critical device, a tool.
Bro, that's a
key
Ubisoft feature.
for your gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. So that's one of what I believe is going to be 4 specific abilities.
If it's one of the
display that we see when you get out of this vehicle, you'll be able to check that out and go from there. But as you can see right here, I want to take a point out the desert area. This is outside of Red Rock. Red Rock is the main location for the game story, but you can go outside into these kind of wasteland type of areas where there's going to be some action and things like that for you to take advantage of. And for me, you know, like I said to you guys, since it is an open world and it's mostly focused on you doing what you got to do, I love the fact that you got these vehicles and you could kind of enjoy the journey as you go.
I mean, what's the point if you like again, you're gonna have this like vast area, but if there's gonna be nothing, you're not gonna be exploring that. For what? For beautiful screenshots at the best?
So now as we watch this character and his gameplay here, this feels like it's somewhat early on.
They might have as well just make a single like a straight just a single shooter campaign, you know, where you just give me a bunch of levels and just let me go straight forward.
And he's going to be pushing forward with some heavy duty weapons. And I feel like, you know, one of the conversations about what I like is that there's a lot of action and
okay,
you have abilities, and it does look like the weapons are super overpowered right now.
They do look very overpowered,
but it looks like you can one tap a lot of these guys.
Yes,
which is going to be interesting to see how it plays. You know, speed runners try to rush through. Personally, I'm gonna take my time, but we'll see if I need to put it up on the hardest difficulty.
Bro, is it a paid review
or anything like that? Hopefully the developers are managing that and they can kind of see how it goes. A lot of this stuff is challenging, and I'm interested to see us. One of the previewers said that it was very difficult for him specifically. When they saw the footage, they had to kind of like manipulate the game. So curious about that. Now I want to.
The game looks hella easy here and then challenging for the player.
Take a moment to
it doesn't add up for me.
Of one of the most important
doesn't work.
Aspects. On the bottom right, you're seeing your abilities. The top one is to scan, and I believe the one on the right, on the bottom, is the drone that you'll call up, which you control, and you're capable of shooting other enemies with. So this is critical, and I think that I would want to see how this one plays out and how this flows. There's another a cool ability you're going to see it pop up, which is you're able to hack these things, I assume, is what I saw. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But having
Everything
all that
explodes
capability
again.
sounds
He
insane.
shoots them
and
when
of
they die
course,
in a
fun
second.
to manipulate the game.
It
And
just
you guys,
he's not
whoever
dying
watch me play,
himself.
I like to hack stuff and just watch it destroy all the enemies and stuff like that. I think it's funny and fun, personally. That's my
Okay.
opinion. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, the game has a lot of very nice areas. I do believe the environment is special. From what I've seen, of
The
course,
environment
you
is not
can't
bad,
talk
but
about something you haven't played. A lot of people in the previews said they feel like the driving is stiff, and I laugh at people when they say something like that when they never got to play the game. So you can't tell me how something feels when you never felt it.
yeah,
And
I said it before. It's hard to tell how the car drives, but I kind of can feel it. Like even like through the video, like that is not necessarily. It reminds me of like I have comparisons, right? I have experiences. Like it feels like from the video like Watch Dogs. What they have there, it's like feels exactly here too.
that's just me not trying to take a shot at these guys because it wasn't their fault. They didn't get the hands on. So it's
I think you still like it's hard to tell, but you still can kind of tell how it's gonna feel just based off the watching the videos. Like not everything, of course, but
a question
okay,
about if we're
you got
going
a
to be
good point. But
capable of utilizing that in the future. Personally, I hope that the driving is smooth, but that was just something that some of the previewers talked about. Again, this is a couple weeks before the game releases, and the hands-on is when we'll know. I do want to get review copy and then have the developers hear my feedback because I got a lot to say, and we'll see if that does happen, and I'll share what I feel. Just so you guys know, I try to keep everything positive when it comes to only covering games I'm interested in. But even if I'm interested in a game,
it's too
like
positive though. Like he's trying to smooth everything out, like saying he's not really saying with the stuff that he's worried about. Maybe something that he doesn't like.
it's a 7,
You need
it's
to
a
be
6,
honest.
it's an 8 or 9 because it is fun and it is cool. And
It
so
seems like
personally,
5 out of 10
we'll see where
game,
this
but
one
we'll see.
lands. I feel like I'm gonna have a good time with the story and experiencing it. I'm curious
If the
about
gameplay is gonna be like this, like the way I can see it on the video, but the story is gonna be great, it might jump from 5 to 7 out of 10. But again, too early to judge. But the story, if the story is really gonna be good, it can make up for
my
a lot of
worry is more
flaws.
about replayability, and there is a cure for that. By the way, the replayability will allow me to actually create my own version of the game, so I can hack it as far as just like this drone's about to do right now, and I'm able to manipulate things. So it looks like this drone ends up getting shot down by the other drone because you hacked it. And so this is a cool mechanic, as I said, one of your abilities to hack
I
other
don't
drones.
know.
But the reason
It's like that robot over there didn't do anything and just died. Like I mean, you hacked it, just stay there.
I talk about that is because
Like
the replayability, you can take all these assets and change different enemies in here. You can, add some crazy elements and do different things. So I'm curious on what and how the developers are going to allow us to do this. It
I don't
is
know.
a
It seems
very
like they're
cool
not gonna
feature,
allow you
and
to
it's
do
a great
anything.
idea. I want to see it firsthand when I get a chance to play it, or at least let them preview it and present it, because we do know, if you guys didn't know, I've been covering
I
this
don't know. Like I feel like if I'm gonna open the comment section, people are not gonna be
as
happy
well.
about
They
this
had a
game.
thing called MindsEye. I'm sorry, Everywhere, which was tools for players to create.
Maybe I'm
games.
just too negative.
And
I don't
so this
know.
game's gonna have all that, which is called Arcadia. So we'll see where that goes, and how far along that will take us in the overall game. But that's something I'm loving. And as you watch all this footage, as I said before, imagine being able to take this whole open world and create your own mini game out of it. I think that's spectacular, and it's exciting to say the least.
I don't know.
But yeah, all
It
of
feels like very small amount of people would do such a thing. Most of the time, if the game is really, really popular, then you have a community of people that like to add new things. But if the game initially is not like it doesn't have a great start, not many people playing it, there's also a community of those people like very small, like a very sort of narrow type of people doing that. No, I'm not, like, how did I say it? Narrow type of people. It sounds offensive. What I mean that not many people would do that basically. But if it's something that you would like to do for fun, then yeah. This person in game is always in pursuit in each gameplay. Exactly. I'm still excited despite all the haters and complainers. Well, yeah. I'm excited. I want to see what it's going to be. Hating is an engagement farming trend. We got to ignore it. Kind of true. Yeah. I'm just expressing my opinion. I don't hate the game. I want to see what it's going to be. We don't. Why don't they add a gore system? Would make the gunplay so much funnier. In 25, the characters are still pulling weapons out of their asses. My guess though, Leslie pitched this idea to Rockstar. They laughed at him and turned him down, so he left and said, "I'll show them what they could do." I mean, he partnered with da. Should be pretty good. Pretty much every reviewer that I saw gameplay in a private session said this game was a buggy mess and it needed to be delayed. Don't expect much. Thanks for the support in gameplay. The animations are a bit off. It still looks like okay game. Leslie Benzies wouldn't release a crap game. How do they know? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. It's just so weird. I hope I'm not the one who has this kind of feeling. Like, this entire review just felt like the guy was trying to find any reason to say something good about this game, even though like him saying, "Oh, there's gonna be an open world, but it's just going from mission to mission, but it's gonna be beautiful open world." What's the point of having a beautiful open world just if there's nothing in there? Like 4 abilities, one of them seeing through the walls, hacking. It's so like generic Ubisoft ability, hacking other bots and everything. We've seen it before too, thousands of times. There's millions of different explosions. I'm not sold. Okay, what about this guy? This guy I know is like trying to be a little more honest, I guess.
Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today I'm bringing you a preview for MindsEye, likely something you've been searching for a while if you have any interest on this game, because there's been very little information on it, very little
yeah, actually almost
nothing. I'm excited
nothing
to talk to you about it here today. I guess maybe excited is not the right word now that I put that out there, and I'll get into that in a moment, but let's just give a little bit of background information on why there's even interest in this game at all.
Leslie Benzie, now that I know,
is a brand new team behind MindsEye. It's led by Leslie Benzies, who is the producer behind GTA 3, San Andreas, GTA 4, GTA 5, LA Noire, GTA Online. So, like, yeah, a lot of Grand Theft Auto.
That's a big name, actually. If you worked on all those games.
Part of the reason it was exciting is there was this huge void between GTA 5 and 6, where I feel like a lot of crime-based open-world games could have taken their
honestly
shot to, you know,
that's a good point, that we didn't have any single like a game that remotely would try to take the position that like the GTA had such a huge break for like 10 12, how many years, right? From 2012, 8 plus 5, 13 years, and we didn't have a single sort of like a open world GTA like game. Why?
Share a spot with
why
GTA
nobody's
6,
trying to fit in.
Gonna come in and clean house whenever it releases, but
you have such an opportunity after they release GTA 5. You have like 5 years, maybe 6 years to make something decent, and maybe something even better potentially. Why there is no games like that?
There's still time for you to make a crime-based open world game that fills that void, fills a need, and does really well.
Exactly.
So MindsEye, especially now with the GTA 6 delay, it's kind of hit it at the right time, in my opinion, especially given the mind behind it is one of like...
Yeah, it's actually a perfect opportunity right now. Like you have this 1 year, people are craving GTA 6. They want to see more stuff about GTA 6. Why not to, you know, fill in the void, the emptiness with a GTA-like game? Such an opportunity, honestly.
The originals behind just GTA.
You don't even need to make a game as big as GTA 6 because nobody knows how GTA 6 is gonna look. But you just need to make a game that looks or feels better than GTA 5. I think, and that one is that pretty much durable, I think.
At its most prominent. Build the Rocket Boy is said to be a 450 to 500 person team working full-time on the game.
How many?
It's published working full team, working 50 to 500 person team. Rocket Boy is said to be a 450 to 500 person team.
That's a lot of people
working full time on the game.
That's a lot of people.
It's
That's
published by IO Interactive's partner.
It's a good amount of people.
On June 10th. And there were a lot of questions with very little answers going into this one. Very little gameplay, very little story details.
Exactly.
The gameplay we did see was just primarily cars blowing up. So
exactly, just explosions everywhere.
I remember seeing on Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors, there was a little bit of a gameplay leak over there, and people were like, what is happening with this game? So, yeah, it was a preview. It was hands-off. It was digital. And we have under a month to go now. So that didn't necessarily build confidence in that environment, but I wanted to go in with an open mind because the demo was at least live.
You always should go with the open mind.
Previews,
that's what I'm
like
saying.
It
just like
Pentiment sticks out in my head. It's like a very planned presentation. Everything's pre-recorded. This was just showing like, hey, it works. It's real. So I saw an early game mission. I saw a late game mission. And then I also saw a new Arcadia mode, which is basically their content builder. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. I could not record any of my own gameplay, so everything you are going to be seeing in this video was provided by the publisher, so it'll likely look a lot better than what I saw. And here's my general takeaway, and I know with my platform, when I say these types of things, they come with a lot of weight, but sincerely, this game needs to get delayed. I saw so many bugs in this preview, and I've been doing this half my life. Like, I've seen previews in a good state, I've seen previews in a bad state. This is up there with some of the worst I've seen, just in the terms of preparation. You could just feel the energy in the room was like, we got to go. Like, the pressure just felt real. Taking that out of the equation, all that matters for you at the end point is the quality of the game here. And I'm just going to run down a list of bugs that I saw. And by the end of the presentation, like, we swear these are all patched. You don't have to worry about any of them. But look, I have seen that song and dance before. I always remember going to my Fallout 76 preview event. And when I went there, the game ran like shit. And Bethesda was like, we swear it's going to run well at launch. How'd that go? So I learned my lesson, right? I learned my lesson about like putting faith in them. It's like, I know game development.
Got to be a little bit
there's
skeptical about it,
needs
yeah.
to get ironed out. And I feel like a GTA 6's delay, this one could also afford a delay. Okay, so bugs I saw. A drone was invisible during a cutscene. This is one they called out pretty immediately and said, like, yeah, we know about this one. There was pretty brutal pop-in with the textures. When they were flying over the city, they got into a sky car and they were flying over, and you could just see it in real time. Did not look very good. I think there were a lot of frame dips. This is the one I'm going to put a little bit of a asterisk on because this was all streamed to us, and so it's possible it was lagging, but it looked like it was, you know, stuttering pretty hard during certain stretches. I'll be on the lookout for this, though, and you should be too, so that's why I just wanted to at least mention it. Things I did actually see, though, were the ones I mentioned before, and also some weird balancing things. The demoist, I've never seen this in my entire life. The demoist used invincibility to get around 2 different encounters in 2 different missions that they otherwise would have died in because they were very clearly unbalanced. Again, I have never seen that before. That is like mid-production stuff, like when you have not balanced your game and you're like, we just need to test if this can go like start to finish, and like the skeleton, the quest.
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know if I mentioned that. Like, I was like I talked about this. I just remembered. No challenge whatsoever. The person is just running around, kills everyone. So he's basically a Terminator.
Away from launch, I'm like, oh boy, That's not good. There were even names missing in
Look, look.
subtitles. It would just say like none. I thought that was weird. There were enemies spawning in front of you. At one point, this happened just one time, to be fair. And there was another point where I saw in that same mission, enemies were like crouched behind cover and just shooting into cover. And I think that enemy AI just was not in a good spot either. There were a lot of points in the demo where they were just running at you. So this is all literally me watching it. I didn't even get to play it, and this was my takeaway. I was like, this is really buggy. And again, the claim was it will all be patched at launch. And if it is, excellent. But that kind of gets into some of the stiff nature of the game overall, where if I'm just looking at it, bugs aside, they all get squashed. Did I walk away from MindsEye going like, okay, all right. Well, some parts of it, yes, but I wanted to put the bugs up front because, again, I just think it's so important you're aware of this stuff. June is a very competitive time. We know the Switch 2 is coming out, a lot of games releasing, a lot getting announced, and MindsEye is right there in the thick of it. And I think this game has great potential if it's given the time because, again, I want more crime-based open-world games. I don't think Grand Theft Auto has to be the only one. I think Saints Row blew a great opportunity years ago when they were kind of stepping in. It was like, dude, if you...
Honestly, okay, Saints Row was one of those that could have delivered something. Like, I was always a fan of Saints Row. I liked it that like GTA was always sort of on the borderline between like serious and cheesy, right? And Saints Row was like a stress relief. You know, you sort of just go in there. It's an open world game, but you have like a genuine fun. Just do something crazy. You don't really think about it, and it doesn't have to be like a AAA 10 out of 10 game, but. And I think like Saints Row 3 or 4 or 5, they never were like that. They never reached the level of GTA 5, but they were good in their own field.
Bring back like OG Saints Row vibes. That is a perfect time to do it with no GTA 6 on the horizon, and we know what we got with that. So let's get into more of the meat of the game. Like I said, I saw a few missions in the story, but they said in the presentation the story was about 15 hours long, a lot shorter than I was expecting. The cutscene presentation I thought was pretty good, like the way music crawled in and amped during different phases of the mission. You could see there was a lot of time put into that. I was very impressed by that. The motion capture seemed pretty good, again, from the stream quality at least, like facial animations, the way cutscenes were shot, like how they used at one point like a security camera to kind of communicate that you were being monitored during a conversation. Those little angles, those little tricks always work well for me. They had GTA staples, like, you know, you're driving around and the talks in the cars, you're like going from one end of the map to the other to kind of build up the story, and the music's ramping up as you get closer. Those little things are there. Those little touches that make it feel very GTA-like, the kind of intangibles really are there. So some of the presentation looked pretty good. Driving seemed pretty solid, albeit a little stiff, but like that to me is the least of my concerns. At the end of the day, I can deal with that sort of driving. They even had the camera, as I'll talk about in a little bit, play similar to GTA when in vehicle, like the way it slightly detaches and kind of whips. So you're just, as the demos described it, kind of on the edge of control. And it looked like it could feel good in those moments, but also kind of separating itself from GTA and bringing it more in line with like a Cyberpunk.
The driving is not bad though. Like, it looks, yeah, like you said, stiff, but it's good enough.
Kind of have
like,
these sky
I think you can have a little bit of fun.
Rock City.
Even though I think Watch Dogs didn't have like a good driving feeling to it, but I still enjoyed it. It was fun to some degree, not like super crazy, but
interestingly though, during the entire demo, we did not see the inside of the city really, outside of like a motel at one point. Otherwise, like, you did not drive through the city or anything like that. I went, based on the performance stuff I may have seen, it started to make a little bit of sense. But there was also one other comment I'll get into at the end of this video that stood out to me of like why we maybe didn't go into the city. Overall though, presentation for cutscenes I think was the game's strongest point. I was definitely like into sort of the political espionage tale that was kind of being woven. I was like, okay, I could see this being a little bit interesting here.
That could be interesting.
Like a particular wow moment, but it seemed interesting and well produced enough in this category to, I think, warrant the interest that it has. And if
the game is going to be released in the state he describes that he was watching during the demo, the narrative team of that game, they needed to like deliver like 120%. so they could build some kind of fan base. So after everything, at least there's going to be some kind of good things that people are going to be talking about it when it comes to this game. So in the future, potentially people will get interested in the sequel. Like they really, like the narrative team they needed to give something really good here, like something amazing, not good, amazing.
Speak to some of the pedigree behind the game. Camera movement, again, in vehicle, but also on foot. Now we're getting to the gameplay. Very GTA-like. You can vault, by the way. I remember when that gameplay leaked, I was reading the comments on Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors, and I was thinking the same thing people were saying there, which some guy was like running into the wall constantly. I was like, can you vault in this game? Like, can you not jump? But I did see vaulting, so you can vault. But also the gunplay, the third-person mechanics, like just the way you are animated going into cover, that little meticulous attention to detail there, the weapon wheel. I know GTA didn't invent the weapon wheel, but like all these sensibilities that are very GTA-like are here. And again, it's really that camera. I think if this camera was positioned or worked differently in any other way, this game might be getting trounced just because it would not remind people of the thing they love so much. The enemy time to kill was very Rockstar-esque. Like you shoot them in the head, they drop immediately. If you shoot them in the body, they kind of just ragdoll away. Like I said, the behavioral patterns, though, this is where the combat started to unravel. A lot of these encounters, just these enemies running at you. It didn't seem like there were any true encounter setups, in my opinion, where like enemies were posted in different areas and like here's where they're going to come from and how you're going to have to maneuver the environment. It didn't seem like that level of thought. That, again, I mean, it's a tough bar to reach when you're shooting for Rockstar, which is maybe why these companies avoid these crime-based open worlds, but like that level of thought, that level of polish certainly was not there. And it just seemed like encounters were just like distractions, getting a little action going, because Michael Bay's in shambles looking at this game, dude. Like, it's blowing up.
Yeah.
You're blowing up gas stations. You're blowing up cars after a few
Exactly.
shots. It definitely
give me more
adds
explosions.
a lot of visual flair to otherwise pretty flat third-person shooting.
Yeah. Explosions.
I feel like the game could lean a little bit more into its sci-fi setting, and they do in certain ways, but weapons-wise, like it was just ballistics, and there was one weapon that was like this laser rifle, and I went, yeah, that was cool. More of that, like disintegrating your enemies. More of that. But that was the only weapon I saw that functioned that way. The other futuristic element of the combat was in the late game mission, where I got to see like a drone that you could use. You could stun robots. You could take control of them, and they basically just fight on your side and absorb some enemy firepower. You could also use your lens to scan nearby areas, or use that drone to kind of survey nearby areas. So a little bit of Watch Dogs, but again, we're talking about Ubisoft, but hey, like I like Watch Dogs, but like not nearly as polished or as thought out, I feel.
That's what I said. This is what I said in my first video. Like, it reminds me of Watch Dogs in every aspect of this gameplay, of the gameplay that I've seen, except a little bit worse. Like on every aspect that I've seen, like the driving the vehicle, shooting part, the abilities and everything. It looks like Watch Dogs, just a little bit like delivered from a smaller team that didn't have that much of a budget or time, and they just tried to scramble together everything what they could.
Game could just, the general theme of the video is like it could just use some more time. What's new though, that you really weren't able to piece together, and where I think the conversation gets really interesting if I get speculative here, is the portals they showed. So they hopped to a third story mission. They didn't play it out, but you spawn in this room and there's literally a portal right in front of you. And to be clear, like throughout the demo I saw, this game is very much trying to ground itself in some sort of reality to make it believable. Like there was, you know, a politician running a campaign and she was screwing over this sort of like business owner and trying to make him look bad. And so like, again, this sort of like knife in the back type of storytelling that was ongoing, where to see like a portal, this sort of magical thing, I'm like, what the heck is this? But yeah, like a literal portal was just there and you can step through it. And this is where the game has content that you can build. So it's called Arcadia, and there are these tools that are available on PC at launch. Basically, you're allowed
to... that's what he meant in that video. I didn't get it. Like maybe I just... Okay, I guess I just missed that part. So you can create your own stuff in the game.
To fill the map with encounters and stuff. which makes me anticipate a hollow map, because one thing they said in the middle of the presentation was talking about post-launch content. They said that as they were flying over the city, they said, yeah, this is Red Rock City, and we want to, with post-launch content, drive more gameplay into the map. And I went, drive it into, what do you mean? Like, it's not really there at launch. And as I saw, all of the content was kind of in this Badlands, this arid Badlands area. I mean, not that they're not going to use the city at all. They built it for a reason, but it seemed like it was almost deliberately avoided. And then the one time I saw, like, the corner of the city was in an Arcadia mission to sort of fill out that part of the map. So I'm like, how hollow is this going to be, if at all? But anyway, this is, think of these like modding tools. Think of it like a Doom snap map, like these kind of, except much more complicated, might I add. But it basically allows you to like use the tools the game uses to build like behavior patterns all the way down to encounters. You can drag and drop assets in, build your own locations, and just in any spot of the map, which I think has some pretty cool potential. They plan to add in multiplayer content later on after launch. And I think you all know how Maddie feels about that sort of stuff, especially if you've heard me talk about Marathon on Defining Duke, because I haven't talked about it on the channel yet. But yeah, it's like, I don't care about that. And I'm not trying to be mean. Like, I'm just trying to be sincere so that the developers who need honest feedback and probably want to delay this thing, I'd put money on it. They're looking at it like, yeah, we need more time. Probably want to delay this, can like take this video and others and be like, they know. Like, they know this is looking to be a little bit messy. But anyway, these portals will open up some storytelling opportunities, which I thought was interesting. Like, here's some backstory for the main character's military background. Here's a drone race. Here's a car race. You can play as other characters. Like, in one case, it's a CIA assassin with like a laser pistol. There was a horde mode at one point. So I could see this being maybe a little bit fun, but it didn't seem to add like actual story and cutscenes. It was more like just third person shooting with a little bit of narrative context as to why you're doing all the shooting. So yeah, I know this has been a really harsh preview, and I'm trying to be generous because this is
honestly not that harsh. He was like, okay,
a brand new
maybe
team, but when
by
I see
his
like,
standard,
we're throwing almost 500 people at this game full time, and I look at the state I saw it in, which is all I can only operate off of. Maybe they did patch everything out. Maybe it is way better.
Let's hope for the best.
Launch. I hope it is. But what I saw, I'm just like, this needs more time. This definitely needs more time.
It feels like this game, yeah, maybe like in not even like a beta, it's like a late alpha stage. You know, they have this like mechanics, core mechanics, they finish them, but there's need to be a lot of polishing, a lot of details.
And I don't know if you can fix things like if the story isn't good, you can't really change that.
Yeah.
But I think polish could go a long way, because that's what Rockstar games are known for. And if Leslie and his team can kind of carry that level of polish into this product and make those things feel very clean up that I was talking about.
They need to. Leslie, like, there's, well, I can see there's like a big reputation behind the guy, but if this game is going to be released in the state this guy describing, which like from that video that he watched, that will be a massive damage to reputation. So it got to be polished, even if their gameplay is going to be boring, but at least it's going to be like, it's going to be working properly. The people not going to have a problem. It's just going to be sort of like a AA project. It's fine. It's not necessarily like do the bad thing like for your reputation. Like, you tried, you made a game, AA didn't. I'm going for the worst scenario with the best solution. Like, sort of, if this game was in this state, and then the way to fix it, sorry, what I was trying to say that if as of right now the game is in a rough shape, there has a lot of bugs, there's a lot of empty spaces, AI is not polished and everything, they need to make sure everything runs smooth. At least if they can do that, like, there's not going to be many bugs, the game will be stable. If they manage to delay the game and fix those issues, you gonna save yourself. But you basically your reputation is not gonna be damaged as much. I'm talking about the worst case scenario. If the game is actually not, it's not going to be good in any capacity, right? I cannot tell right now. I cannot tell just based on the gameplay. But again, you can only like see so much. You can only understand so much what's actually in the game, because like I always advocating for play first, judge after. Unless it's like a franchise from the same company, then you can kind of try that. But for most of other games, especially for newer companies that you never heard before, try it and see what it is.
It might be
what I was trying to say. Yeah, like they need to make sure that everything's polished and fixed.
A lot of these things I'm talking about, like if I'm seeing a demo as at least turn on invulnerability,
if the game is not, if game is gonna turn out not to be great, if at least the bug's gonna be fixed, it's gonna be okay. Some damage control will be done.
That otherwise would kill them and disrupt the demo, that communicates to me that like that's a major problem, you know? So again, I appreciate the transparency. Part of me wonders if that is part of the plan, like just let them see it and kind of just have their way with it. But given the secrecy of the game, the parts of it I saw, the bugs I witnessed, I'm just like, I think there actually might be something kind of interesting beneath all of this, at least a solid crime-based open world shooter. Again, 15 hours, I was like, I mean, it's shorter than I expected for sure for the main story. But when I heard that, I was like, okay, like I can kind of get down with that, but it just feels very hidden and no hands-on. I'm like, So, you know, I got to be real and just say like my defense is a bit up with this game. I don't like to do this for previews because it's really hard to walk out, especially an hour-long preview, and just kind of be like this. So I hope to those of you who watch a lot of my previews, you know what this kind of speaks to with the quality of the game that I've seen thus far. So just wanted to record some thoughts, put them out there, give you all the information that you can kind of operate off of with MindsEye, and keep an eye out if they change anything with the...
I'm just gonna wait for the release. I mean, it seems like there's people that actually want to play it. So I can see that. Looks like an AI game from 2028. That would be patched by at launch. Yeah. Gonna give it a chance. You can give them a chance, just don't pre-order. Just wait for the reviews, what people gonna say.